Let me guess, you got your production quote back and you were like, oh, that's real money. If you want to get into production but you're not sure how to pay for it, I'm going to break down the real options designers use and how to pick the one that won't stress you out or put you in a hole. I'm sharing this as someone who's gone from handcrafting to getting manufacturing quotes and building a plan to fund production the smart way. This isn't theory. This is the exact problem I've had to solve. Now, by the end of this video, you'll know how to calculate the real number that you need, the best funding options based on your stage, and what I would avoid early on. Now, the first step is you want to know your number. Before you pick a funding option, you've got to know your real number because most people guess, and that's how you end up short. Here's the basic formula. Total cash needed equals production plus shipping freight plus packaging plus labels plus buffer and plus launch costs minus cash that you already have. So if your production is, let's say, $12,000 and freight is $800, packaging is $500, and you add a 10% buffer because something always happens, you're not actually raising $12,000. You're really raising closer to $14,000, $15,000. Your funding strategy is only as good as your math. Now, the next thing is your funding. Let's talk about your options. And I'm going to tell you who each one is for and what to watch out for. Now, option A would be bootstrapping. Bootstrapping is using what you already have. This is profits from current sales, savings, or doing a small run and reinvesting. This works because it's slower, but it's the least risky. Now, I'm going to warn you, the downside is it can take forever if you're not intentionally saving and selling. Now, option B is pre-orders. Pre-orders are when customers pay before the product is produced, and that money funds your production. Now, the rule for this one is it only works if you're clear about your timeline and what your customer's getting and consistent updates. Now, I'm going to warn you, the mistake is promising a fast delivery when production has a mind of its own. You never know what's going to happen. Now, option C, deposit and balance. This is one of my favorites for higher price products like handbags. People put down a deposit to reserve their bag and then they pay the balance later, either when production begins or when it's ready to ship. Now, this is smart because it helps you fund production without needing every dollar up front. Option D is wholesale boutiques. If you can get a boutique to place an order, that's funding too, because you're producing based on demand. Wholesale only works if your pricing supports it. If your margins are tight, wholesale will squeeze you. Now, this is option E, service cash injection. This is when you use your skills to generate production money. So consulting, workshops, coaching, freelancing, commission work, whatever service that you can offer. Now, you have to be careful because you don't want to get stuck doing services forever and never return to your product. You can get comfortable in those zones. Now, loans and credit cards. Debt can work, but only when your demand is already proven. Now, I'm going to give you a rule. If you're using credit, you need a payoff plan before you even start swiping that card. Because I'm going to let you know, if you're still guessing whether people want the product, don't borrow big money, then find out. Now, option G is grants and crowdfunding. Grants and crowdfunding can be amazing, but they take time, planning, and storytelling. They're not the fastest path, but they can be powerful if you're consistent. Now, how do you pick the right one? Here's the simple decision guide. If you don't have an audience yet, bootstrap in savings and service income. If you have a small audience and a strong sample, pre-orders or deposits. If you have steady sales, a small loan or line of credit can make sense. If you want visibility and can run a campaign, crowdfunding. If you have boutiques asking, wholesale can fund your run if margins allow. Now, the goal isn't just funding. The goal is funding with the least regrets. Now, if production is your next step, don't let money be the thing that stalls you out and makes you pause. Pick the funding strategy that matches your stage and your demands. Comment production and tell me what you're trying to make and what your quote range is. I'll tell you which funding option makes the most sense. And if you want, I can share a simple production cost calculator checklist so you can get your number right. Now join me for the next video because I'm going to talk about pricing, because funding production is one thing, but pricing it right is what keeps you in business.